Because if you think about when you truly, like, you love your family, you love your wife, your girlfriend, or whomever is important in your life, anything you're doing for them, essentially the first spark to do something for them is an intention of love. Because you care for them.
Or you're being a nice guy and you're doing it so that they...
Which...
It's a facade of love.
That's not love, though. Welcome to the Savage Servant Podcast. My name is Nick.
My name's Jason.
And today we're going to talk about being a good man and not a nice guy. So when you hear that phrase, what do you think of?
Well, being a nice guy always, in my head, is just the epitome of, like, being a bitch. It is being like the nice guy, right? Like, it's the nice guys finish last, the nice guy, but like, you're doing stuff not because it's nice and it's the right thing to do, or being like a good person, but because you physically don't have the ability to be anything else. Like, you can't be confrontational. You can't do the right thing because it's the right thing. Like, you're doing it so that other people aren't mad at you.
It's like self-serving.
Yeah, it's 100%. And that's the other part too. Have you ever read the book, No More Mr. Nice Guy? It's been a long time, but one of the main things that I remember from it was covert contracts is what he called it. And it was basically like, I'm doing this for you with this expectation, and the other person has no idea that that's why you're doing it, and then you're mad at them when that doesn't get fulfilled. But you're not doing it because it's the right thing to do. You're not doing it to serve that other person. You're not doing it for any other reason but to get the other thing that you think will come out of it.
Without them even knowing that.
Yeah, they have no idea.
We're going to make a deal. I'm not going to tell you anything about it, but I'm going to do my part.
And then you end up being mad. But as a nice guy, right, they're not confrontational about it when it doesn't happen. They are just pissed off, and then they end up resenting people. And those are the people that end up being upset at people later, or blowing up. The long fuse, but the guy that blows up for like no reason.
When I think of it, like, do you ever ask somebody like, hey, I got a friend, and they're like, oh, what does she look like? She's nice. Like, when I hear this phrase, like, nice guy, there's that meaning, and then there's the meaning of, like you had said, like, very weak, self-serving, pleasure-seeking, just all about himself and manipulating, basically. Like, trying not to do anything just for the sake of it being the right thing to do. Just fulfilling his own needs, like, even if it means some ridiculous pact he's making with himself to shoot the other person in the foot without them knowing.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I had read about was being a good man as opposed to a nice guy, meaning that you stand on your values. So when you tell people like, hey, this is what I think or feel about a certain subject or an idea, and then that thought gets challenged, that you're not doing things just to fit in with the crowd. You're like drawing that line in the sand and then standing on your values. And being a good man, like, hey, this is the right thing to do. This is what I believe. I'm not going to go along with everybody else just because it's like the bandwagon or it's what everybody's thinking, a nice guy is at the time.
The difference between a good man and a nice guy, the biggest part of it is the motivation behind it, right? So the nice guy, like we just said, is doing things or going along with things, discussing things, talking in a way, all because of what he thinks it'll get him.
Yeah.
Whereas the good man has a moral code, has like chief principles. This is what I live my life by.
Yeah.
And if you are a Christian man, it's the biblical principles. It's it's all the things that the Bible and Jesus teach us. And that's where your moral standards come from, and then you do and express and filter everything through those things because those are the right things to do, because that's the way God wants us to live. And that's where the difference is. You're not doing it because if I do this, I'll get good things. A lot of times doing the right thing means you have to bite the bullet and take one for the team, so to speak, right? Or defend someone that you would get nothing out of, but it's the right thing to do.
Do you think, I mean, I personally feel that we do, but as men, we do that a lot of the time, or we're supposed to be doing that a lot of the time, like biting the bullet, sacrificing for others, not expecting much of anything in return, but doing the right thing because it's the right thing. And like you said, not really getting anything back other than it's the right thing to do.
I think that if you're doing things correctly, that's what happens.
Yeah.
There's less and less of that from what I can see in just society in general. It's hard to do things without looking for something in return because of the way that we are shown things in life, like in TVs, movies, the way that things are presented. A lot of the now social influencers and people like that are explaining things in a way, well, if it doesn't get you anything, don't waste your time with it. Yeah. And although I can understand the sentiment for some of it,
yeah,
trying to protect people from getting, you could potentially help the nice guy saying things like that, right? Get him out of the mindset of doing things for other people or getting taken advantage of where he thinks he's going to get something in return, but he's not. But all that does is shift the motivation to make sure that he gets something out of the interaction. You're fixing the symptom, not the disease, which is the disease is the motivation, right? Like we said, it's coming from a place of wanting something from someone else. That's why you're doing the thing. You're
right. I think the nice guy mentality and like what you said about social media and things like that today, it's teaching everybody that relationships are transactional. And relationships from being a good man's point of view aren't transactional. It's I'm doing this for the sake of doing this because it's the right thing. It's what God wants me to do. It's what it feels right in my heart. Maybe nothing comes back. Maybe something comes back. But at the end of the day, I know I'm doing the right thing. And I'm not expecting anything of you. If something, is given in return, an emotion or an act, whatever the case may be, great. But the fact that I did the right thing and gave and served, that's what I believe being a good man, like, is a majority of.
And you can go to bed with a clean conscience. You can put your head on your pillow at night and not have that guilt or shame because you didn't do the right thing. And you push forward knowing that, like, even if bad things come to you, you did everything in your power to fix those things. And so it must be either God trying to teach you a lesson, or this is pushing you down a different path. Any of those things. If you do the right thing, always, if you take the stance of like living by your principles, you take that question out of the back of your head, like, is this, or is it just because I screwed something up? I think it makes the thought process a lot simpler.
It's just a smoother road. You're not questioning yourself anymore whether it's right or wrong or the reasons for doing it because you know why. It's just very clear cut. In the Bible, Corinthians chapter 16, it says, be watchful, stand in faith, act like men, be strong. Let all that you do be done in love.
Isn't it interesting that we have... It almost sounds like a dichotomy, do everything in love and act like men. But in the Bible, especially in the New Testament, Jesus does everything in love. Like there's a side of what is the term? I've heard it. There's two sides of Jesus. There's the the one that picks people up off the ground and saves them when everyone else is ready to stone them. And then there's the table flipping Jesus.
What?
From the temple when he goes
when he goes in. Yes.
A lot of times we are taught those are two different, completely different things. We don't think about...
Nobody talks much about table flipping Jesus.
That's a problem too. Because it teaches men that if you want to be Jesus-like, you can't have that righteous anger or be protective in a real masculine way. And I think that's a problem because we've overcompensated a lot. But and it pushes men away from the church in a whole. I think that is another topic too, because that is
we could talk about that one.
That's a huge problem
at length.
But I just wanted to point out that when you hear that, like, that's where my mind goes, even knowing what I know and trying to be in the Word and understand it in more depth. It's like, oh, that's a weird dichotomy, loving and like men. But if we're doing it right, it's not.
That's
you
true.
should be doing the things out of love. Like being protective should be done out of love. Going and providing for your family, leading your family. All those things should come out of love, but it's a strange thing that we've done either in our society, in our churches. I'm not sure where exactly it's come from, but we've made that a thing that is
two
not
separate
the same.
things. I would agree with that. I had never really thought about it from that point of view, but it's true. Because if you think about when you truly, you love your family, you love your wife, your girlfriend, or whomever is important in your life, anything you're doing for them, essentially the first spark to do something for them is an intention of love, because you care for them.
Or you're being a nice guy and you're doing it so that
which
it's a facade of love.
That's not love though.
No, 100%.
That's weak, feeble-minded, insecurity coming out as, I need to have this self-fulfilling prophecy that everybody likes me and I'm always going to get what I want to fill this crappy hole that's inside of me, and that's nothing. That's fake. It's manipulating at its best.
A lot of that comes from not having a strong relationship with God and feeling secure in God, feeling love from Him, knowing that you're enough because you're a child of God, because you come from that, and you've been saved because of what Jesus has done, but not feeling enough, and so you're doing all these things to try to make yourself feel better, like you're more all these things, and you're looking for the relational pieces from other people, that transactional relationship where they're trying to give you something that really no one else can give you, but you're looking for it in people.
It's true. Oftentimes, I do it. I'm sure you've done it. We all look for validation from the people that we love in every aspect of our life. And before, I guess I was being kind of a nice guy. There you go. Instead of a good man, which I feel I'm a good man now. I know I am, and I could definitely see in my past where I was a nice guy. But it was transactional. You are looking for the validation of the people that you love most, because it seems to be the most fulfilling at the time. It's almost like you have to have it.
And you can do it without being nice.
What do you mean? Oh, nice in the sense of...
In sense of being kind. Or, it's a different definition of nice. In the way of, it's just contextual, like you're the nice guy. Because you'll be nice in certain situations where you don't really want to be nice. I'm not sure how else to put it. I was a douche. 100%. Right?
Yeah.
And would very easily get upset and angry and yell at people that didn't deserve it. But especially when it came to people like the opposite sex, I would be nice just to be nice because I had other intentions.
Of course, transactional.
But also people that I worked with, bosses, business dealings, I would be nice, not speak up and speak my mind, and then later would just blow up about something stupid. Or get upset because I wasn't getting what I wanted, and it would be out of the blue.
That adult temper tantrum.
Sometimes, or sometimes it was just something would piss me off way more than it should have. Because at that point, it would have been building up for so long. Or you just would you poison relationships because it feels fake, and people know where you're coming from more than they know why. They know that you can tell when somebody is phony, or coming at you to try to like close a deal or get you to buy something.
They're ill intent,
or men that have intentions with women. A lot of people can tell where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of people just put up with it because they think that's all there is. But that's what I mean. Like, you can tell where those things are coming from, and so they typically don't get what they want, because no matter what, you can't build the relationship, even though you're trying really hard to be fake and build it.
Yeah.
You can't build the right relationship in whatever sense, in business, in real like relationship, like men, women, with your kids, with anything, if it's coming out of that wrong place, because it's, no matter what, even if they don't know why, they know that something's off. They know that you're being fake.
It reminds me of a saying. There's two sayings, Well, the analogy that I use is, you make yourself out to be this knight in shining armor, pumping yourself up, doing whatever it is, and you're building this rapport with this person. You're gaining their trust and all this stuff, and you start to have that transactional relationship and this and that. And then the whole time in the back of your head, they think you're a knight in shining armor, but you're made out of tinfoil. It's shiny. You don't know the difference. But when push comes to shove and your values get tested, or you have to go, show up in a, manly type of way, you crumble. And it's fake and it's a facade, Not all that glitters is gold, kind of a thing. Yeah. I had been that tinfoil knight often in my past. But moving forward, I feel like a shining knight in armor.
Shining star.
Armor that I'm still building, and it's really hard.
The protection piece of it is interesting. Like we were talking about, I think that came out of the same thing that you were talking about in the same video. He was talking about that as a good man, you will protect the people around you. You will protect and fight for your values. A nice guy won't do that, because a lot of times he doesn't get anything out of it. Like, he may, if something happens, may try to do it in front of other people. Like he may virtue signal.
Yep.
And when everybody's looking or the cameras are on him, he'll, he's, what it makes me think of? The guy who is, when everybody is holding him back, has a lot to say.
Yeah, but as soon as they move,
as soon as everybody moves,
nothing.
Or that dog that's on a leash that's barking at the other, the bigger dog, and then you let the leash go, and he still stands in the same place.
It is.
That just popped into my head right now, but because you're not fighting because you know it's right. You're fighting for what you can get out of it, and now that we've come up with our code of conduct as a family, and we have rules, and we have things that we stand for. It makes it easier to go through different things and different decisions.
Do you feel that you're reliving old questions with new answers now?
That's an interesting way to look at it.
Experiences, like you're.
They don't even seem the same, but sometimes I'll look back and be like, oh, like I never would have been able to deal with that the same way.
Yeah,
all sorts of situations that now that we've gone through the things we've gone through, now that we are where we are with our relationship with God, now that we've done the work as a family to get to where we are, I mean, we still have so many things to work on, but
that's the process.
Those things that we're working on, even those things seem simpler, and we know which direction to go towards because we have that standard set. And it doesn't seem like it's the same things because it seems so just apples and oranges.
Yeah.
But you look back and you're like, wow, like I've dealt with something similar to that before. And this is how I dealt with it the first time.
Yeah.
And this is how I dealt with it now. And I'm so grateful for where I am now.
Oh, of course.
But Yeah, that's an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah. I often think about that because situations pop up right now in my relationship that I'm like, I've gone through something like this before. I remember how I reacted before. I don't even think how I used to think as I did one time as I do now. Mm-hmm. And it is weird. It is like apples and oranges because you're like, I mean, for the longest time, and sometimes I still do, conversations are something that sparks, a trigger in your mind to bring up something of the past, and you're like, I was such an asshole. I was a complete jerk. I can't believe if I find that guy, if I run into him on the street, he's getting throat punched. Like, I would hate
The old you?
the old me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just, what guy are we on?
the old me.
I was like, that seems...
That's a little much. Be like, just some random guy. Be like, I'm upset right now. Can I punch you in the throat?
It's very confused.
No.
Okay, got it.
That's what I meant. But, yeah, no, it's enlightening to say the least.
As I've gone through things, I guess I don't see myself... I'm not there yet, but definitely have way less of a nice guy mentality than before.
Yeah.
It's hard to not look for thanks and not look for the accolades, mm-hmm. like we've discussed before. And but when I do things and I know that I didn't do it for the wrong reason, mm-hmm. I know that my family feels it. I know that they know that I did something because I love them. Mm-hmm. And I keep asking God for more opportunities to do that. And it's funny because the more you ask for those opportunities, or you ask to learn to do those things, mm-hmm. He'll give you opportunities to do it. It's always the harder opportunities,
of course. Which
is funny. He's not just going to give you those things.
Well, because he has to make you grow in the process.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I used to think. I used to think like you ask for more patience and he just, you feel less annoyed. And he's going to
put you in a more annoying situation.
And so
you don't have a choice.
It's been a hard road to walk and a hard thing to realize, like, because what used to happen was I would ask for those things. Then I would get a situation that would test those things that I was asking for. Like, what the heck? Like, I asked you for more patience, or I asked you to help me do this way, and you just made it worse, and I'm still not. And it's like, no, dipshit. Like, you asked for the ability to be patient, and I gave you, and you, like, I'm supposed to be. I'm in charge of myself, mm-hmm. and God gives me the opportunity to show that, mm-hmm. and I don't.
I think God very much has a gym mentality. It's like you see some guy at the gym, say it's your first day there, you walk up to him, you're like, man, I want to be just like that guy. I want to look just like him. Okay, well, that guy went through all this. He was here 6 days a week, busting his ass, eating right, committing himself, doing all that stuff, and that's kind of the way God works. He's like, oh, do you want more understanding? I'm going to make you screw up and hurt somebody's feelings, not on purpose, or do something that you feel not necessarily, I guess, bad about, but is below the way you should have acted. It'll cause you to reflect, and on your own actions, you'll realize something about somebody else. And then you're sitting there like, just like you said, really? You couldn't just make me just understand, have like more peace? And he's like, no, because that wouldn't have lasted. He's like, if I gave it to you, if there was a pill that you could take right now that, I could give you to make you look like the guy in the gym you wanted to, nothing that he has or now you would have, you would appreciate. You would understand. You would know how to keep.
would just get fat again.
You would, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. You would fail. You would go right back to the way you were. And that's why all these trials and tribulations, which is about, one of the very few things that God promises us is, you're going to get trials and tribulations. Mm-hmm. But in those, they make you into who you want to be. You just don't think that that's the road that you would like to go down to get there.
Yeah, but it's the only road to get there.
It is the only road, because trust me, I've tried every other road.
I mean, because you even see people that get plastic surgery or get like a tummy tuck, and then a year later they're twice as fat as they were before.
It's definitely, exactly, it's the mentality. And, everybody...
Because you didn't have the motivation. It goes back to the motivation every time. Uh-huh. Like, you did it just because you wanted to feel good about yourself, not because you wanted to be a good person and change your mindset to do the right things, mm-hmm. because they're the right things and they'll make you healthier. No, you wanted to look pretty in this photo, or you wanted to look good like in a suit, like whatever it was, whatever, male, female, whatever it is, the motivation is what drives it. And my thought is too, with like, how do you change your motive? Like, say you're in a weird spot, or you're in a bad spot, right? You're a nice guy. Me and you both very much so had spots where we were like beaten down and made that change in motivation because that was the next progression in our life, because it had to be for us to fix ourselves and get just have a decent life at all. And or we found God in the gutter, right?
Yeah.
I wish that wasn't where I had to learn it. I wish that I didn't have to go through all of that. Do you think that there's a way to change that mentality without going through, like, if somebody right now is watching and they're a nice guy, like, I want to do the right things for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Is there a way you think to do that without going through all of the crap?
Well, it depends on where you are mentally. Like, say if you're watching this right now and you're a nice guy and you know you're having a lot of transactional relationships and you haven't got to the point where you don't know how to change. People change for one thing and one thing only, a compelling reason. If you haven't found your compelling reason, you won't change. Like, what was one of your compelling reasons to change? Like, what was one thing that you're like, if I don't change, this is gone, or if I don't change, I'm going to continue to ruin my life? Like, what was one of your compelling reasons?
My wife.
Okay. My girlfriend, same way. My daughter. Those are compelling reasons.
But yeah, like my daughter, my wife. I also started to change though before I met either of them.
Yeah.
And just knew that I was sick of living like that. Like, I knew that every time I did something I thought I was down the right path, just blew up in my face.
Yeah. It's something that you value more than yourself at the time, because let's be honest, in the time of pleasure seeking and being a quote nice guy, you aren't really looking at things that build any type of self-worth. You're looking for pleasure seeking things. And in those pleasure seeking things, they come and go, so nothing stays. So being a good man, you're building a foundation of things that actually stay in your life, your values, your ethics, your understanding of God. To get back to your question, though, do I think that you have to come to that point? No. I know guys that made dramatic changes in their lives that didn't have to get to the point where we did, to get slapped in the face by God and be like, are you going to listen now? Like, seriously? Or are you going to continue to do this the rest of your life?
Or you think they're just less stubborn people?
Possibly. You know, everybody's different.
Some people can hear a whisper. Some people have to get in the face.
Yeah. We unfortunately were very on that far side of the spectrum. Like, he's standing next to us yelling, and we're like, did you hear something? I didn't hear anything. Let's keep going doing this. Like, let's just keep going down this path.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think for everybody it's different. But the only reason to change is you have to have a compelling reason. And whatever that reason is, whether it's your health, your wife, girlfriend, children, your job, you know, you will reach a point where you think it's your rock bottom, but let me tell you, there's always a new rock bottom. There's always a level lower. Like, could it get any worse than this? Could I screw it up anymore? Could I be any lower? Yes. And you will, until you reach that point of having your compelling reason and you're like, look, I'm done digging, I'm putting down the shovel, I'm climbing my way out.
In my head, there's got to be a way to do it. I just don't know what it is. I know that I had to go through it. I know that you had to go through it. I know my wife had to go through it. Everyone that I feel like has tried to change just to change without having that real, like, maybe that's where you find your reason, is in the gutter.
Yeah, you do.
I guess in the gutter you can see what is most important.
Yeah, because, you know, I think that in the gutter you kind of find yourself, because all the things that you thought really mattered, the pleasure-seeking things, and that nice guy mentality all fade away quickly. It's like having nobody there for you.
I guess there's definitely ways to get rid of your ego, though, before you get there. You just have to be able to get rid of your ego to listen to other people.
But I think that's even harder.
But I think that's where it comes from. That's where you could start to make the changes, because once you can't make those changes until you drop your ego.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the gutter comes into play, is you get beat down so that you're in the gutter. So your ego, even if you want to hold on to it, you have zero reason to believe in it at all anymore, right? Like
no, it's true.
Your ego, you can't.
It's done you wrong.
You can't keep your ego.
It hasn't protected you. Yeah.
Not even that, but because you've shown at this, like, when you have your ego, you think they're this big, tough, perfect person.
Yeah, it's supposed to protect you. Yeah.
God has a way of just beating that down to where you have no ability to say or think in that sense anymore, because it's very obvious that that's fake, that that none of that's true.
Yep.
If you can get rid of the ego without that and like see where you fail, I think that a lot of it is self-reflection. I think people like you and me just have this mentality where we fight it until there's no way to see past it. But I think if you were able to self-reflect and to go through it more and understand where your shortcomings are, actually look your shortcomings in the face. Like David Goggins talks about, like, standing in front of the mirror, telling himself everything that's wrong with himself. Like Tom Bilyeu, he talks about, like, standing naked in front of the mirror and looking at your shortcomings and just being honest with yourself. If you can do that without getting beat down, I think that you can go through this process or make that mentality change. Without having to go through all of it. And then you can learn from people like us that have had to go through it.
Because we're only one way of going through this. There's a million ways to get through this process.
I'm just thinking, like, what else could you do? And I think that has to be part. I think that's the main piece of it. Is however you get past your ego, that is what you have to do. Me and you just weren't able to do it independently.
No, we were very much, I'm going to say this, we were nice guys.
Yeah.
We were. And I had a very inflated ego that I used people and things and situations to feed that big empty hole within myself, because I didn't do much self-reflection. And I reflect 3-4 times a day now. I think it's become less of a thing. It started off as making myself feeling guilty about the things I've done, or reflecting on, okay, I did this well today. Maybe I can improve on this tomorrow. And you get to that point, and it's a good place to be. It's less, I guess, because in the beginning when you start with self-reflection, like I said, you're beating yourself down all the time, because there really isn't much there to stand on, because all you have are these negative experiences and things you've done to people, and it's not really like a safe place for you, so it's really uncomfortable to go there. I think Jordan Peterson says, like, wake up in the morning, sit on the edge of your bed for 30 minutes, with no sound, no TV, no phone, no nothing, and just think.
Oh, I couldn't do that.
And a lot of people can't.
No.
And you just get caught up in your own thoughts. But he's like, once you learn to slowly master that, that is when you could start to move forward. And I mean, I do that now. When I'm at the gym, sometimes I just shut my music off and I just have my headphones on with nothing there. When I get up in the morning, I'm sitting there sometimes just staring at the ceiling thinking. And it used to be really, really, really uncomfortable. Because I would wake up with guilt. I'd go to bed with guilt. Wake up in the middle of the night, use the restroom, guilt. I'm like, when does this ever end? And then it just kind of goes away with a period of time, with more of that, that self-reflection and positive mental attitude about yourself, because that's another thing that changes.
The way that I have found to do it in a positive way is I do at the end of the day or the next day, I'll go through and I'll say, okay, well, what did I do? What did I do good today? What did I do bad today? And then what am I going to change tomorrow?
Yep,
and
that's the best way to do it.
Those three things, and it's just an after-action review of the day. And if I consistently do that and actually make the changes, that's the other part, is being able to say, okay, no, like, this was wrong, make the changes. But those things make you more aware. And then when you constantly have the same things that have been wrong and you're not making the changes, it tells you something about, like, okay, well, these are strongholds. These are things that I'm really struggling with. And then how, you need to do more research or more work in those areas.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. Every day is a battle, and you're going to wake up days and you're not going to feel like in the beginning being much of a good man because you're fighting old things that are still there, thoughts, feelings, resentment, whatever the case may be. But the sooner you learn to let that go, you make more room for the improvements in your life that you want to be, have, and do.
You have to admit that you're not perfect so that you can become better.
Without a doubt.
Because if you think that you're perfect,
you are wrong.
There's no way to get better.
No.
If you think you're perfect.
No matter what other people think of you. You may have people in your life who you love having there who pump you up constantly and are like, you're amazing, you're so perfect, you do everything.
That's why I tell you how shitty you are.
Every single day. In fact, I wake up to text from him, good morning, you're shitty, have a great day. And I go about my day.
My daughter even does it for you now.
She does. She's following the path of dad. Great kid. Great kid. Savage. Just a beast. She'll text me like, are you having a good day? Yeah, good. I hate you.
I don't know why she would be texting you.
It's so weird. No. But it's true because those kind of people, they give you that false sense of like, that you're really good. Like they may have rose-colored glasses on, and they're seeing you for all these amazing things, and you're buying into it. But inside, you're being like crappy.
That's why
maybe even to them.
That's why a lot of celebrities have issues. There's so many people around them telling them how amazing they are, and if they can't get a hold of that and realize, like the people that do the best, people that separate themselves from all that. There's some celebrities that go legitimately just crazy. You see them just fall off a cliff.
Oh, yeah.
And a huge part of that is because they have people telling them how freaking amazing they are every day.
Yeah.
And at some point they buy into that. And you can't live like that because you're gonna. So you end up with 10 divorces like some of these people, because they think that everything they do is perfect and they can't see any of their own faults.
Yep, feeds into that nice guy mentality. It doesn't allow you to be a good man. Being a good man is you have to take constructive criticism or just criticism.
Just responsibility for everything too.
Yeah, you're going to have to swallow that. You're going to have to reflect and be like, well, is this person right? Is it wrong? Is it a me problem? Is it a them problem? And grow from it, because if you get upset anytime somebody's even joking with you and giving you a bad time or just messing with you, being sarcastic, and you're getting your feelings hurt, you're being a nice guy. You need to suck it up, buttercup, and be like, hey, they're just playing around, just I'm not going to take it seriously, I'm not going to get butthurt, and start texting my buddies and be like, well, she said this and that really hurt my feelings.
Well, I'm trying to remember who said it. There's a quote that I remember, a celebrity or influencer or someone said, if someone else has criticism for you and you're upset with them, that's a you problem.
Yeah.
Because if it's correct, you'll own it.
Yep.
And you'll figure out how to make it better. And at the end of the day, if it's wrong, you'll know that it's wrong. You'll know that you're doing the right things, and it won't faze you.
It's true.
Those people, some criticism isn't valid, and you just have to understand that. But a lot of times when people give you criticism, when you get upset, it's because there's that hint of truth in it.
Yeah, it is. Because you're like, oh, how did they know? Or like, they saw the truth.
I don't know. I don't think that's never what I thought. It was always, I would be, how dare they? And then in the it's not even a conscious thing. You just know, you're upset because it's pulling at that thread that you've been trying to hide.
Instinctively butthurt.
Yeah.
Like my first reaction would be like, no, it's not. Damn it, they're right.
Yeah.
So, I got a suggestion. In the comments down below, comment what you think being a good man and a nice guy is, and let us know.
Yep. And if you get any value from any of these videos, any of these podcasts, please just share, send it to a friend. If you got anything from it, you thought it was funny, you think Nick's stupid, anything like that.
I'll laugh at it.
Any point, please share. We don't do anything to promote these, so it's all word of mouth.
Like, share, subscribe, comment, please. And just, try to keep it tactful, constructive criticism. If this isn't your channel, please, there are millions for more. Millions
hit the dislike button twice.
Millions more channels for you to watch. Please, feel free. Find one that works for you. Whatever helps you, because that's why we're here. I mean, I've always said to Jason, if this became, huge, great. If it didn't, great. Because him and I are just here to help share our experiences in our own lives, grow, having you watch, and, you get closer to God. So,
all right.
Till next time,
Be a savage.
be a servant.